right, we have the bellified
Yeah, baby.
Jason Sabio. Very nice skin.
Dude.
I can.
Krista, you
Might
get
be
a
a
lot
little
of mileage
oily.
today.
Might be a little oily there. No.
Even the oil is like really
Looking
nice.
very
Oh, man.
So, Jason, tell us more about yourself. How do you start getting into football?
I was actually by accident.
Mhm.
I used to swim my entire life, and we had swim practice, and it was canceled one day. And one of my best friends, I was over at his house, and he asked me to come join him and play soccer. And this was at age 11.
Okay.
And
Late bloomer.
I fell in love with the sport. And I actually had to hide it behind my parents' back because they weren't too keen on me playing. So I used my allowance to pay for my club dues, and I worked something out. And I would always just make up an excuse saying, oh, I was overdoing homework at a friend's house during the practice times. And I think my parents caught on when we would be at restaurants on the weekends, and I'd run in my friends, and their parents would say, great game, Jason. And my parents had no idea what they were talking about. And I finally told my parents the truth. And at first they were like really mad because I was basically doing things behind their back. But I think once they saw that there was potential, they started supporting. So my dad started actually watching my high school soccer games then. But before then, they were all about swimming.
All about swimming. Were your parents swimmers, or they just like that sport better?
I was swimming, karate. I think my parents, especially my dad, just wanted a sport that was well-rounded, in the sense that it's something you could do all the time. It keeps you in shape, and they just weren't exposed to team sports. Because my dad was actually a boxer in the Philippines, and he played basketball, but only in high school, nothing ever competitive. So, and my mom was just a bookworm, so she's not that athletic. But I think they just weren't exposed to it, so they didn't know what to do. But I think once they found that team sports are actually very helpful to the youth, and something you learn so many life lessons being on team, and the biggest one is really compromise. I think once they figured that out, not only do they support me, but they support my younger siblings in any sport, especially football now.
And I hope the lesson here is not do things
Don't-
behind your
Yeah.
parents'
Yeah,
back.
that's
That's not the lesson
that's
here.
not the
No.
That's
lesson
not the lesson here.
But if you have dreams,
So how did you end up with? How could they not know? I mean, you just hid your uniforms and washed it yourself and dried it yourself. Because I think that's one of the telltale
Actually,
signs.
he was wearing trunks the entire time. He was,
Speedos,
Speedos, Speedos,
British
yeah, yeah.
Speedos.
no, I think for one birthday, I begged my parents to ask to play club football one season. I said, please for my birthday, can I have the money to play club football? And even then, that was very tough. But fortunately, I think now they're so accepting that my dad actually travels all over the world to watch me play, and I mean that's just a huge blessing. And I'm fortunate to have parents like my father and mother.
So you started out playing and you learned football at around 11. That's pretty late. Like a lot of us start at like 8 or 7. What position did you start off with?
Actually, attacking mid.
Okay.
The one just right behind the forwards. And I guess just a progression from college, because I'm not the biggest, and especially in the States, you can't. They didn't want me to really control the midfield, so they didn't want me to be an axis player. So I moved to the outside. I played right wing, and then once I got to college, I got moved to right back, because actually right back and left back are the positions that if you want to try out new players, that's where you put them, because you can tell about their vision, about their defensive shape, and also how can they contribute to the offense. And then I think in the later years of college, I just got moved to the center just because of a more leadership role, and it's stuck since.
How did you end up here in the Philippines playing for Kaya and the Ascals?
I was just on vacation in 2009, and I ran into Ali and played with him and a few of his friends, and ever since then we had a talking relationship, and he was inviting me to come try out for the national team. I think you'd be a good addition, but unfortunately with law school, I couldn't, not until this past January, where I basically said education can go to the side for a second, take a little hiatus. And
you're teaching a lot of people some bad things here. First, don't listen to your parents, and now just put away your education on the side.
Well, I already had my bachelor's, so I was okay with that.
He's done with school.
Yeah, I was done with
pursuing.
the moral of the story, you finish your 4 years of school, and if you want to
You
do
can
other,
do whatever.
Exactly.
Your 4 years of college.
Yeah, but I just think it was an opportunity that I needed to take and I didn't want to regret. And I, unfortunately, after making the national team, Kaya was one of the teams that offered me to play for them, and it was a decision that, in hindsight, was probably one of the best decisions of my life.
Armand, you've been with Jason for quite some time. Tell us something that people don't know about him.
His beautiful abs.
No, I mean, aside from that you obviously touch often.
I
because
love him. I'm jealous of him, man. I see it every day. And I'm like, damn.
I wish I could buy those abs.
I know, right?
You can. Sexy solution.
Oh, there we go. He came out with
www.
No, I know. He has a very feminine side to him. It's great. I love it. It's not a bad thing, you know. He comes with his bellified body, and it's nice. He's very sensitive and he's very intelligent.
Very sensitive.
When we have the meetings, I don't know if he's trying to be funny or serious. He came up with an idea in our last meeting. What was the idea, buddy?
It was a suggestion box.
Yeah, we're having a serious meeting, and instead of bringing it out to everybody, instead if you can't give your suggestion to everybody in person or say it, you know, put it in a suggestion box.
And do you guys have a suggestion box now in practice?
I think we're coming up with it. It's great
up with
ideas
one.
from
Breakthrough. That's just a breakthrough in all business establishments.
They will start having them at UMAC too.
But no, it's good. He's a very intelligent. If you couldn't tell by the offsides explanation, he thinks things very deeply, and great guy and fun to be around. I love you, buddy. I love you.
Oh, romance right here.
I hope you didn't do that on close up. I hope you were panned out.
So
that's how
off-cam,
Kaya is. We're
brotherhood.
We're brotherhood family. You
A
know.
little too close for some people, though.
No.
I can go. There's nothing that's too close.
Yeah.
so there's no such thing as too close for Kaya.